Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. You got your earbuds?
Yeah, I got them in, so should be good to go. So I gotta ask you, because the podcast is called Behind the Wheel, are you always behind the wheel?
Sometimes, yeah.
So living in Baltimore, in the inner city, I was present when the Freddie Gray riots occurred.
Baltimore was actually the first city in America to come up with a essentially legal way to ban African Americans' property ownership within white residential areas.
Snack Nation is a two-sided marketplace where we introduce artisanal and emerging brands, mainly snack brands, to consumers at key moments where they're most engaged.
Hi, I'm Derek, and this is Behind the Wheel, a show dedicated to highlighting the accomplishments of ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things within their communities. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you find your podcast.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Wheel. I'm your host, Derek Oxley, and today we have a very special guest. She is originally from Montclair, New Jersey. They were recently in the news. Now residing in Newport News, Virginia. She is a woman on the move to become the first African-American female pro triathlete. Give it up for none other than Sika Henry. How are you doing today, Sika?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm loving that Hoka shirt.
Yeah, I was trying to stay cool when I come and sit behind the wheel here. I mean, now I'm in the shade, but it gets a little warm here.
Yeah, I had a track workout on my lunch break earlier, and I was questioning why I do this stuff. It's so hot out here.
Yeah, what's the temperature like there?
It's usually high 80s, 90s. Humidity is pretty bad. So usually on the weekends, I get up super early to ride, like 6 a.m. because it just gets so hot out here.
So for those people who may not be familiar with you, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, how you got started on this road to endurance sports?
Sure. So I grew up swimming. I swam competitively all 4 years of high school, and I got a bit burnt out. And I was in gym class in high school my senior year one day, and the track coach was there. He saw me playing basketball or something, and he was like, "Oh, you got some hops. You could leap pretty high. You should try out for the track team." And I'm like, I don't know. It's my senior year of high school, but sure, why not? And I ended up trying the high jump, and it came really natural. And I got into college already at that point. So I reached out to the Tufts University coach, and I walked onto the team, and I did track and field all 4 years of college. So yeah, I was primarily a high jumper. I went to NCAAs and all that stuff. And yeah, I didn't even like running a mile though.
No?
No, I did not like distance. Like I remember like once a week or every other week, she'd try to have me run like 3 miles, and I was not having it. I didn't like it. But after college, I moved back down south because I went to college up in Boston, Massachusetts, and I was working in the financial industry. I had majored in economics, and I was working for JP Morgan and just like working crazy hours, getting out of shape, not working out. And, the New York City Marathon's huge, and, people were running in Central Park and stuff. So I was like, all right, why don't I try signing up for a 5K and jogging? And, before you knew it, I was running a marathon. Yep.
Where was your first marathon?
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about it. It was the Atlantic City Marathon. That was my first one in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I had never even done a half marathon before. I went in totally unprepared. By mile 17, I was puking all over the place, walking. I saw a spectator. She had a cell phone, and I asked if I could use it like in the middle of the race. And I called my best friend because she was there, and I wanted her to pick me up just to take me home, but she didn't answer. So I finished my first marathon. I somehow got under 4 hours, but it was ugly. It was really ugly.
Well, I guess people wouldn't mind getting under 4 hours in their first marathon. Yeah. I think when I did mine, it was like 5 hours. And these two guys who talked me into it, Sean and Miguel, by the time I finished up, it was like 5 hours and some change. I got back to the car, several messages. they had already finished, were home shopping, showered, gone along with their day, and I'm still out on the course. I stopped listening to the messages and just went home. So that was a great time. So then, you transitioned from the marathon and then leap into what led you into
well, okay, so the marathoning got better for me.
Okay.
I waited a few years before I tried another one. This time I actually prepared for it. I did 20-mile runs and stuff like that. And I did half marathons leading into it. And my second one, I actually won it. So it was out here in Virginia. It was 2015. Yeah, I dropped like 50 minutes or something. I surprised myself and won that one. And then in 2015 also, I joined NBMA, the National Black Marathoners Association. Tony convinced me to fly out and do the Dallas Marathon.
Okay.
And it was on my birthday. And I was like, I don't know. It's really hilly out there and warm, and it was a struggle, but it was good. I was the fourth woman at that race. And then I kept doing marathons and I got better and better. So I got faster. And then, I also, my bucket list was to do a triathlon because, I have a swim background. Biking's pretty easy to pick up, and then with running. And then I found also that, like, with all the mileage, I was dealing with little nagging injuries and stuff like that. So there was a local sprint triathlon right near Hampton University out here.
Okay.
And I didn't own a bike, so I went to Dick's and I bought a mountain bike. I bought a bathing suit, like a Speedo, and some goggles. And I just showed up to that race. And I came in last place or something, but it was so much fun. I really, really loved it. And that's how I fell in love with the sport.
Wow. I can't, so a mountain bike, well, I guess it's not the bike. I guess it's the bike has something to do with it, but I'm pretty sure the engine, the person riding the bike, is a contributing factor. How tall are you?
I'm tall. I'm 5'10".
5'10", okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you said hops. I'm like, when you said hops, I'm thinking, well, you're on the basketball court. What was he thinking? High jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I think he said something like run and try to touch the net, and I think I touched the rim. And he's like, you gotta come out. You gotta come out.
You gotta come out. Okay, so he saw something in you. So where do you get this competitive drive from?
Probably my dad's side. My grandfather actually was a crazy good long jumper, and he ran the 100-yard dash in under 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yeah, a really good football player. In fact, he would have been able to play in the NFL had it not been for segregation back then. So I would say a lot of that comes from my dad's side. My dad, he's almost 70, and he's a third-degree black belt in karate and does jiu-jitsu. Yeah, so my dad's side's they've got a lot of talent, which is funny though, because they're all like fast twitch fiber, short speed stuff, and I'm doing Ironman, so.
Long and strong.
Yeah.
So now your grandfather was a musician also, right?
Yes, yep, he's played on hundreds of tracks, basically anybody from the 50s, 60s you can think of. He was mostly known for the sax. He was an amazing sax player. He's played with Erskine Hawkins, and he's been on so many records. Like I watch old movies back in the day, and my dad's like, "Oh, that's your grandfather playing in the background that music."
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's got to be an incredible feeling.
Yep. Yeah, he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame down in Alabama. So, yep.
Do you play an instrument?
No. I tried. I played the flute growing up, and my parents did have me in piano lessons, but I showed no skills whatsoever. My dad's actually a really great piano player, but I lack those skills.
So they started you in the pool quite early.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Learning how to swim has always been a really big thing for my family. I grew up with a big pool in my backyard. So it was important that I know how to swim. My friends who would come over, it was important that they know how to swim. And I'm grateful now because I'm doing triathlon, right? And so many people struggle getting into the sport because they lack the basic swim skills.
Yeah. Well, we all can't be, minnows. I guess it would be important to
I can swim, like I swim, but in races when I do triathlons, I'm usually like one of the last out of the water. So I can't brag about my swimming skills.
But so at some point you started, you're doing triathlons, and then you said, well, yeah. Where do you get this? Well, I want to continue to improve. Where does that come from? This drive and desire to?
Yeah. I don't know. I think most people have it inside them, right? Like so many of us get hooked on marathons and stuff because we want to see if we can keep getting better. And there's something addictive about placing and getting PRs and just wanting to see how much faster you can get. So I don't think I'm any different than anybody else, I guess. Maybe I'm a little more intense about it. I can definitely drive myself into a hole, like feel like I'm dying in a race, but still keep going and going. So just, I guess, kind of manifested from there. And then I guess I'm also driven by, like there's such a lack of diversity, especially with like African Americans in, the long endurance stuff like triathlons and half Ironmans and stuff like that. So when I saw that there had never been a female African-American professional triathlete before, and I was seeing how well I was placing at these Ironman events and stuff, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I could possibly be the first. So in the back of my mind, that's been kind of driving me.
So even after, so tell us, lead us up to the accident.
Oh boy. Yeah, there's no getting around the accident. All right. So 2018, I made a significant improvements. I had gotten a new coach. He coaches a lot of the top triathletes in the world. And I got on this whole new program with him, and my time started dropping a lot. I started placing, like I did Ironman 70.3 Atlantic City at the end of 2018. I want to say I came in 8th or 7th or something at that race. And you need to be top 3 overall amateur to earn your pro card. So I was like, all right, next year, like I'll train through the winter and I'll be in good enough shape to get my pro card. So my first crack at it last year was in April at Ironman 70.3 Texas. Unfortunately, that race ended up being a age group start. So it's not based on how fast you are. They place you in where you start. The time you start in the race is dependent on your age. Unfortunately, I was put in one of the last heats. So there's 1,000 competitors, and I'm trying to get a pro card, and I get out the water, get on the bike course. There's people everywhere, like new people trying to do their first half Ironman. They're on their mountain bike swerving. They're not totally familiar with the rules and stuff. Kind of like where I was when I did my first one, right? Like, so you ride on the right, you pass on the left. But when you're new, you're still learning these things. So I'm going like over 25 miles per hour on my bike, and I'm riding on the left. Unfortunately, one of the competitors in front of me didn't look, and they crossed right into my line. I avoided them, but I hit like a barricade in the middle of the road, and it sent me flying straight into the pavement, crashed right in my head. I was completely knocked unconscious. I don't have very many memories of it. I just remember kind of waking up in the ER, and I was told I had a broken nose. My face was completely lacerated and stitched back together. My teeth were loose. I couldn't turn my head. I thought I had been in a car accident, actually. I didn't even think, I thought I was driving back from the race back to the hotel or something. So I thought I had been in a car accident, but it was from the bike, and it was pretty awful. It was really traumatic. I had to get a splint put in my mouth. I couldn't eat solid food for like a month. I briefly lived with my parents because I couldn't really take care of myself. I had to have all sorts of oral surgeries. So it was really tough. Yeah. Not something I wish even on my enemy.
So what kept you going through the recovery period? Were there any any
Well, when I first saw what I looked like, I was like, I'm done. I'm never doing this shit again. I'm like, I'm done. I can't believe I look like this. I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. I mean, you've seen the pictures. I've made them public on my blog. So, I mean, I was just destroyed. So that was my first thought. But then I want to say 2 days later, my dad came in the room and he was talking to me and he was like, what if I told you if you came back and you decided to give this another try, that you would earn your pro card? And I didn't hesitate. My immediate gut reaction was, oh yeah, I would definitely come back and do it. So I talked to one of my friends, Michael Reed, and he was doing Ironman 70.3 Augusta, which was in September. So it would have been 5 months after my crash. And he was like, come down, do this race with me. I'll use my points and you can stay in the, this nice hotel and all this stuff. So I registered for the race and I just told myself, like, if I can get healthy and fit enough, even if I have to like doggy paddle the swim and, kind of cycle the bike and then walk the run, like as long as I get to that finish line, I'm doing Ironman 70.3 Augusta. So yeah, that kept me going, getting through, going through all the, rehab and the training and getting back into it.
Wow. So you were on the quest for 2020 and then COVID comes around. The crash, and then COVID comes and it's like, yo.
Oh God. Well, between backing up, so 2 months after my crash, I did actually race.
Okay.
I was still kind of bandaged up and everything, but I just really needed to just get that one race over so that it wasn't hanging over me. So I went up to the DC area with my mom and I did a sprint triathlon and I actually won it for the women. So that gave me a lot of confidence that I still had it in me. And then I did do Augusta. I missed earning my pro card by like 3 minutes or something. So, and then I did the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii, 2 weeks after that race. So yeah, I just kind of made it all together.
Where in between there did you meet David Scott?
Oh gosh, that was 3 months after my crash. I flew out to Boulder.
Yeah. How long were you there?
I was only there a few days training with him. We mostly worked on my bike skills just to get comfortable. It was scary though, because I'm still like traumatic. I had like PTSD. So he was like trying to show me how to climb and get out of the saddle and do all of these things. But it was so cool to be with 6-time Ironman World Championship winner. Yeah,
that's gotta be incredible. I remember once my parents, I didn't have a bike growing up. So my parents used to stay on the block. One of my friends had a bike, so I got on their bike. First time I'm, really riding. This bike did not have brakes. So I put my foot, they told me you stop, put your foot in the front wheel, slow it down. I'm coming from Prospect Park on Bedford Avenue, so it's a descent. I'm flying. Now I'm coming to the intersection. I'm like, okay, how do I do these brakes again? Oh, there are no brakes. I got to put my foot in the front wheel. So I go flying over the handlebars, crash, scrape off half my face, crack my front tooth, and now I've got to explain to my parents, like, what happened, because I wasn't supposed to be off the block. So it's like, so this whole idea, but I don't know how fast I was going, and it wasn't on a
triathlon bike. Time trial. Yeah.
No, that's got to be, but it was just the whole, what happened? I'm up in the air and then I'm down on the concrete, waking up and like, oh my God, this is not good.
Right.
So I noticed that he made it was just making a couple of tweaks. So it wasn't like there were major things that he was going through, Dave Scott, while he was with you, just making some minor adjustments. Did you?
Yeah, exactly. But they made a huge difference. Like just the tilt of my saddle, it was pointed really far down and I was leaning a little too far forward and I was actually kind of going numb, like in my wrist to arms areas. So just having that little tweak helped a lot on the bike. With running, I have a habit of, and I didn't really notice this, when I get fatigued, I start kind of like getting tight and hunching my shoulders over. So, he was trying to tell me to remember to relax. So I've taken that with me. Like even in Kona, I was thinking, as I was getting more and more fatigued, I'm like, relax my shoulders, relax my hands, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just really little stuff.
So they said open your hands, and that will supposedly help you relax.
Yeah, just not that does, but thinking about something that simple. So like with me, as the race goes on, I start getting really tense, right? Like my hands start falling. He had watched videos of me running before, so he saw that. Like my fists would clench. So he's like, just think about relaxing them. Even open your hands if you need to, and then that just kind of triggers it.
Like trying to get you to relax. Yeah, I've witnessed. So from time to time, we have a bike shop up here, and it's a cafe. I know the owners. So one of the she's like one of the best bike fitters in the nation. People come from all over the country to come to this shop in Stamford, and so they've got this device. I'm like, yo, this sport is like really intense. So I guess it could be cost prohibitive for some people to get involved with it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's definitely one of the most expensive sports out there. I want to say the median income, USA Triathlon did a survey, and the median income for a triathlete is something like $120,000. So, I mean, that's a huge barrier to, I would say, being competitive in the sport. You can definitely do the sport on a budget. You don't have to look. I did my first one on a mountain bike and in a Speedo, and I mean, of course, now I race. I have a wetsuit on if the water's cold, and I have this, like 10 grand special bike and all that stuff. But you can still do a sprint, which is affordable, on a mountain bike and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say as you get more competitive and you're trying to like buy speed, it gets super costly.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing. Just this device, she was telling me how much it costs just for them to sit and people appointments to come in and get fitted. And
yep.
I just go on for the coffee. So
yeah,
it's a nice little setup. They got a lot of eye candy around. I'll get a coffee and bulletproof coffee and keep it moving.
Gotcha.
The fear. So you get into these, you've been doing these speaking engagements all over the country. And so you've talked at events with triathletes there. And then you said, but the scariest group of people to talk in front of were young people. Do they
elementary school kids? Oh my God, I thought I was going to die.
A tough crowd, or is it just...
I think so these kids were in elementary school. So they're like, tiny. And I had prepared this whole, speech about, because this is in the inner cities. So these are like Title I schools. And these kids have been through trauma and all this other stuff. And, I was mostly talking about my crash and everything, but, you use words. If I'm speaking to you, I can, say things about diversity and inclusion and Ironmans and stuff like that. These kids don't know what an Ironman is. They don't know how many miles are in a marathon. You're trying to explain a 10K and they're like, what is that? So, as they're coming into the auditorium and there's like 100 of them or more, I think there were more, I'm seeing how small they are. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to completely change how I speak to them so that they can understand what it is that I'm talking about. And then, they have short attention span and, you want to make sure that they're engaged and interested and stuff like that. But they were actually really well behaved. They liked the crash pictures. When I put the crash pictures up, they were like, whoa.
Oh my God.
They told me about their little boo-boos from when they fell off the bike. And and as I did it more, it got easier. I learned how to, the next time I did it, I brought in my time trial bike so that they could see what it looked like.
Oh, okay.
And my helmet and the importance of wearing a helmet. And, so it's like, as you do it more, it gets a little easier. But yeah, that first time I thought I was going to black out up there.
Oh my God. Kids are a rough audience. So when I think about you in terms of going for your pro card and we think about representation and why it's so important. And so you have people who are doing different things to help open up the sport, increase the diversity within the sport.
Right.
So there's a sister who just she put out a children's book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It might be a good tool. I mean, next time you do this?
Oh, I was so excited when I saw that. I'm like, where was this? Number one, where was that book when I was a kid?
It's coming up,
awesome.
Right?
Yeah. That's a good giveaway at the next one. I usually do. Hoka's been great about giving me stuff to like raffle off to the kids and everything. Mm-hmm. So that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think it's important. At some point, I'm going to learn to swim. I have a friend up here. Nancy's been trying to go to the Y, get your membership. And so there's this Y, and it's right down the block from me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have, it didn't have a track. So I would go to the other one that's in Meriden. But she's like, you go to the pool, they have lessons. And
oh, you don't know how to swim?
So my bucket, I know how to swim, but I couldn't do miles. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you take lessons or whatever. I know anything I put my mind to, I pretty much will be able to accomplish. So it's not on it's on my bucket list to do a triathlon before I depart.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, but
okay.
I'm not there yet. So I'm not thinking about taking lessons or anything. So how has COVID impacted your training?
So I had been training all winter, and then I was supposed to fly out to Mexico, Cancun in April. I thought I had a pretty good shot I was supposed to do a half Ironman. I thought I had a good shot at just getting my pro card there. And I guess 3 weeks before the race, they sent out emails saying that they were pushing it into October. And, just like everybody else, everything either got canceled or pushed to later in the year or next year. So I had pushed myself pretty hard after my crash to come back. So I was still dealing with behind the scenes a lot of like niggling injuries and stuff like that. So once COVID hit, my coach was like, let's just take weeks off. Like, don't do anything. Just let your body heal. So I just focused on work and stuff. In some ways, I think it might have been not that COVID is a blessing, but the downtime was a blessing in disguise for me. Like, I really needed that break. So I can't say I was complaining about not being able to swim and stuff. Now it's a little frustrating because I am
ready to go.
Yeah. It's like you're training to, like I told you earlier today, I was running, doing repeats at the track. And, last weekend I rode 50 miles and then ran 12 miles the next day. So it's like, what am I doing all this training for? It's good. Like, for me, it's not hard to exercise, but to train at this level for no race in the future, it's hard.
So what was the answer when you asked yourself that question? What am I doing all this training for? What?
Oh, just in case.
Just.
Yeah, and like, well, what if in September?
I'm thinking it was, I stopped. There was this pregnant pause. I'm waiting for this profound answer, just in case.
I know the clouds opened, like, and there was a sign. No,
there was a sign said, any day now, but just in case, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, Sika, thank you so very much for being on the show. I certainly do appreciate it. When is the next race scheduled for you?
Supposedly September, but to be honest with you, I don't see that happening.
They're going to push that one back.
My Mexico race is supposed to be in October, but I wouldn't fly internationally anywhere right now. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So I'll just keep training in case. And then we'll see. I guess just keep eyeing 2021.
All right. So where can folks find you if they want to follow you, if they aren't already doing so?
Sure. So I am on Instagram. I post most often on there. I'm Sika, Sika, Henry, Henry. And my website, sikahenry.com, and all my social media links are there. I'm on Facebook. I do have my blog, but
Why I Run.
blogspot.com. But if you go to my website, there's a link to
everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Last question before I go: do you have the carbon plate Hokas?
Yes, I love them.
Okay. Version 1 or 2?
Yeah. So I have all of them. So Hoka is a big support sponsor of mine. So I have, like, even when they're in the midst of creating sneakers, they send them out. So I'm kind of lucky that I get to experiment with everything. But I don't know if it's available on their website right now, but the Rocket X, I actually find even better than the Carbon X.
Really?
You can get your hands on those, yeah.
I'll have to make a note of that. I don't know if I'm on the wagon or off the wagon, but I'm a sneakerholic.
Okay.
You mentioned something on your blog, and it sounded like a plug. I was feeling a little fatigued, and then I pulled over and I got my S Fuels, and then I was like, okay, sounded like a commercial. I was chasing. Was it Kathy?
Oh, yes. Oh, that was the last race I did. Yeah. Oh gosh, that race was painful. I was training for Challenge Cancun, that half Ironman. So my coach thought it was a great idea that the day before the half marathon, I do this like absolutely ridiculous bike workout. So my legs were just crap. And I had to do the half marathon the next day. So I was trying to, in my mind, I thought I could hold maybe 630s. Well, 640s was torture. And yet there was a fluid station, and my bottle of S Fuels nutrition was on there. So that kind of like surged me. Gave me some
I'm like, what? I'm saying S Fuels. What is that? Like, what?
Yeah.
What is this S Fuels? Is
Is
this
that
commercial?
Electrolytes, nutrition, no carbs. Yep. I mix it with water, and that's the drink I use.
That's the secret sauce, huh?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And
thank you, too.
We look forward to being able to say, hey, Sika Henry, first female pro African-American triathlete.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Take care now.
Thanks. You too.